Welcome back to Testify on Hope TV, where you look and live. My name is Sharon Torre, and today we have Miriam Wende, and she shares her story of how the Lord literally, healed her and got her back on her feet after surviving a fatal accident in September 2013. Welcome back, Miriam.
Thank you, Sharon. Actually, my accident happened at 2013, September 16th. Back in the hospital, after the doctor confirmed everything, it was confirmed that I will never walk again. I will never be able to actually sit down because I had a total hip dislocation and a fracture. So I'd lost like the whole of this part. Folding was an issue, even sitting down. So the whole of the time I was in the hospital, I was lying on my back for almost a year on my back. And the other, of course, not to mention the other minor injuries on the other parts of the body, but the major ones were the dislocation of the hip, the fracture of the leg, and the fracture of the hip as well. And the hand, I had a full fracture. I totally lost my elbow completely. There was just a hole in this part. So according to the Kenyatta National Hospital doctors, I was supposed to be to have an amputation for the hand. And I can remember one of the mornings the doctor came with a amputation sheet for me to sign, and also for a family member to sign. And that is when I can say that is when now I started like questioning God. First, you made me to with two hands. You've made me to stay for like 20 years with my both hands, and now I'm being told to get rid of one. No, you have to give me my hand back. And I sticked on my word. And the doctor insisted. I said no. They tried all they tried Kenyatta. They tried 8 surgeries, major surgeries, doing like bone transplant
On the hand?
On the hand, bone transplant, and to the hole, and internal fixation and external fixation, and also the skin grafting to cover the wound, but it never worked. The metal inside the hand made me to have an infection, which really made the hand to lose life completely. So they tried to do all manner of surgeries, but it never worked. Instead, I developed a very bad infection. And not to mention, my hip was still on. I was actually having on the fracture bed, I was having the weight on my legs, the metals of 10 kgs and 5 kgs on each leg. The side where the hip was not badly injured, 5 kgs, and the other leg was 10 kgs.
So what
and
were
remember,
the metals?
I had those metals for 7 months.
So you used...
Now, Sharon, I'm lying on my back.
Yeah.
There's nothing I can't turn, I can't do anything. And bearing in mind, I had a total hip dislocation, and I had also a fracture. Actually, at the scene of the accident, my left leg came to a socket, a hip socket of the right leg. So my right leg was out completely. So at the scene of accident, as they say, they used wounds to attach to my legs, not to lose the other leg. So on going to Kenyatta, they tried to push the legs so that they may match the sockets.
So that's why they were using the weights.
Weights, yes. And of course, I had an external fixation for the left hand, despite having also the wounds, and also some minor surgeries on the. I used to have severe pain at the chest. I don't know, because of the commotion. And also I used to have severe headache because of the hole that I had on my head.
So now, for how long did you stay at Kenyatta Hospital? And when you were there, what was going through your mind?
Sharon, I stayed in Kenyatta first I stayed September, October, November and December. They discharged me, not because I was healed, but because they couldn't operate on me anymore. They had done 8 surgeries, but it was not helping. The infection was too bad, and I remember telling the matron, the hospital, that I really need to go home because I can't see my help in here. And I'll die anyway. And now looking back on how people were dying.
Had you lost hope?
Sharon, I don't know whether it happens to every person who goes under that kind of a pain. And as a young lady that I was, to me, I felt like I am totally useless. Actually, it reached a point that I was wishing to die. And it was so funny for me that every time a mortuary person passes by, I'm like, I wish it were me there. They were coming to pick, and it never happened. And on that bed, I felt like God has left me totally. Why did He made it happen? Why did it allow also, of course, for it to happen to me? And I had a lot of plans for my life, and I mean, my career and everything. So there's no way I could have such kind of, I mean, I'm too strong to lose hope. But finally, a brother in Sparkle brought me, he's called Rogers. He brought me a phone, and I used to read I downloaded the Bible, and I started to read a story of Job in the Bible. And the story of Job really gave me another person, and I started having a hope. I said, since it has not reached to a stage of Job, then I have no reason to worry, because even for me to complain, it shows God that I'm so in love with my flesh that I cannot even see His glory. He made me to survive in that deadly fatal accident, to say, to see, at least to have another, to have life. In that matatu there was a baby, and she died. There was a mother, and she died. There was a father, and she died. And Miriam was here in the middle of that crowd. And I can't say the reason as to why God made me to survive. So I started having another picture of it. I survived for a good reason, and Lord, what I should start doing is to thank God, to thank you. So at Kenyatta, after 3 months, they discharged me, and on going home, actually I couldn't even sit in the car. They used to lie the one of the seats, because there is no way I could fold this area. So they took me home, and I was taken to my home. And the following day, my sister employed a nurse for me. And the first day the nurse came to me, he came to wash the hoods. And on opening on the hoods, she said that I've been doing this for a while, but this one is too serious for me. I can't do it.
She told you that?
Yes, she told me that. So my sister Purity took me to Kangundo District Hospital with also my other sister Esther. He took me to Kangundo District Hospital. And on reaching there, I was taken to check, what do they call it, a checkpoint? Yes, the doctor was called. She examined me. He examined me. He was ill. And he said, this case is beyond this hospital. We cannot help you. Instead, we are going to give you an ambulance to take you back
to Kenyatta.
And hearing that from a doctor, it really broke my heart. And I was so broken to a point of, I'm not going to Kenyatta. I'm going to stay home. At least, I used to say, at least if I die at home, at least my people I'll die in love. But when I go to Kenyatta, it will just be like any other patient. So I never wish to go back to Kenyatta. But my sister said, let us try God. We are taking you back there as we look for another hospital. So she took me back to Kenyatta, and when I was in Kenyatta, when on going back to Kenyatta, I was scheduled for emergency surgery to do away with the infection, which was really eating my bones. And my surgery was scheduled on 19th, was it December 5th? No, January, and it never happened. The hospital, they said there was a spinal project, so that's why I cannot do the surgery. They cannot have my surgery that particular day. So it moved until 19th of Feb 2014. Yes. And
so all this time you were in the hospital? I
was in the hospital, crying in deep pain. And finally I was taken to that surgery, and it failed. It worsened the situation. So I never stayed. Bearing in mind that my hip was also paining and was developing osteoarthritis, and I lost hope. On losing hope, I still had a small faith that, Miriam, I'm going to survive. I'm going to tell the people about my story one day. So God, if you care about me, you have to heal me for me to testify your deeds in my life. So I got this hospital, 2 hospitals, Kikuyu and Kijabe. So I was taken to, I was discharged to be taken to Kijabe. On reaching to Kijabe, they couldn't believe, where were you? This situation is too serious. So they took me to emergency surgery, and they removed the external fixation, and they started dealing with the infection. And they said if we open the hip, the infection will run to the hip. So they couldn't do that. So they couldn't open the hip. They dealt with the infection until it was totally over. And my hand was not, to compare the way it was, and that time I can say my hand was healed, but it was not able to fold.
So it would stay straight?
No, it was actually folded all the time.
Oh, so
yes.
You couldn't?
I couldn't do anything. I couldn't comb my hair. I couldn't I couldn't use the hand to eat. I couldn't do anything.
Is it short? It's one hand, or is it the 2 of them?
No, my right hand was only had a wound, but it is healed. The other one was very serious. So to me, that was a miracle. So I was thanking God all through. I was so happy. And the funny thing, Sharon, I was seeing myself ill, and every time I'm in the ward at Kijabe, other patients were having pity on me. You beautiful girl, you look too young to be here. I mean, what is wrong with you? And they couldn't understand, because I looked too happy to be on that bed. And Sharon, I used to involve my Kijabe. There are these revivals, and I could see the other patients trying to attend the revivals, but I couldn't. But I used to have my earphones and sing all along with the radio in the ward. And I mean, I started living my life happily. I don't know. I couldn't express that kind of a feeling, because for the last a year, I was losing hope completely. But here, I have people who are telling me, Miriam, you are going to be healed. Nobody ever told me that. So I had all manner of I had hope that God is going to do it, and surely He did.
Amen.
Yes.
Amen. So finally, Miriam gets some ray of hope. A hand can just function a little bit, but there's a whole story after this. Stay tuned on Hope TV, where you look and live.